If you're looking for a sensible hatchback or saloon with a blue oval on the front, then I'm afraid you're completely out of luck. The era of Fiestas and Focuses and Escorts and Mondeos is over.
Rest in peace. But it's the dawn of a new era that Ford is pinning all of its hopes on, and one that includes this.
It's the £45,000 Ford Explorer, a family crossover about the size of the Tesla Model Y, which also sells for about the same price. And why not? With the Tesla selling by the bucket load, it makes absolute sense for Ford to get a slice of that particular pie. But is it anywhere near as good as the ubiquitous Model Y?
Before we answer that, let's take a look around, because this bears no resemblance to the previous saloons or hatchbacks of days gone by. In fact, it doesn't even look like the old Ford Explorer, which was a large petrol-powered SUV.
With this design, Ford is unashamedly trying to reinvent the brand in Europe, but taking heavy inspiration from its American heritage in order to stand out. So the styling is boxy and imposing, but with a modern twist, including a smooth front end known as the shield, which helps aerodynamic efficiency. Sitting on top is a larger Ford badge, and just above that, Explorer, in big bold letters.
Does it have a frunk or a front trunk like the Tesla Model Y? Oh, that's heavy. Okay, no is the answer, which is surprising because it's got a big bonnet, it's upright, you'd expect there to be something underneath here. So it's actually more like the VW ID4 than the Tesla Model Y.
And that's because underneath this basically is a VW ID4. It uses the MEB platform, which is the same skateboard chassis that you'll find in the VW ID3, ID4, ID5, ID6 and ID Buzz, plus a bunch of Skoda products.
So why are they copying VW's homework when this is meant to represent a new dawn for Ford? Well, mainly because they've been making petrol-powered cars for quite some time, and they need an electric car that can challenge their rivals before they're too late to the affordable EV party.
And speaking of affordable EVs, if you want one for the very affordable price of free, then don't forget to enter our monthly electric car giveaway. June's 2024 prize is a fantastic Hyundai Ioniq 5 Namsan worth over 55 grand. But that's not all. We're also giving away a free Swift Sprite Alpine 2 Caravan worth over £22,000 to go with it, for free. And we'll even give you £1,300 towards car insurance and up to £1,000 towards your caravan insurance as well. Plus a home EV charger from Hypervolt. Hit the link below for your chance to win.
The boot opens with a button, key or a foot waft. And it's quite big, 450 litres. It's not quite as big as the Tesla Model Y. And the Y also has underfloor storage big enough to fit a body. Literally. This one also has underfloor storage, but you're not going to fit any bodies under there. Just cables and stuff. One thing I don't like is this, the parcel shelf. How flimsy is that? You're not going to put any parcels on that, are you? It's really spacious in the back. The front is set up for me and I'm 5'8", but as you can see, there's still loads of leg room. A little gripe is that because the batteries are under the floor, my feet are quite high, so my thighs aren't flush against the seat, but still, it's very comfortable back here. A good amount of headroom and this very lovely big panoramic roof. Good sized door bins, 2 USB ports and an armrest with cup holders and secret access to the boot. Before we take this Ford Explorer for a drive, let's take a look around inside. Now, Ford have some rather nice, clever touches in here, including this 15-inch Ford Sync Move screen, which does what it says on the tin. It moves. So you can have it flat like this, so it's integrated nicely with the dash and it's easy to use, or you can move it to an upright position in case there's sun glare or whatever else. Then it triples up and you've got a storage unit under here for keys, phone, whatever. And then what makes it even cooler is that you can pull it back down, and when you leave the car and lock it, you've got your own personal safe on board. When it comes to space, there's loads of it in here. Good sized door bins, a large area down here, 2 wireless charging areas, and then this is the mega console. This gives you 17 litres of space, and it has all of these removable compartments for bits, a removable cup holder, and so much space in here that I can fit my laptop and my giant water bottle. I have genuinely never found a car that fits my giant water bottle. It's a game changer.
Apart from that, you get nice 3D sculpted seats with integrated headrests and a quilted design in the middle, finished in Sensico man-made leather. Then there's ambient lighting in the doors and in the integrated soundbar. It's all fairly nice, but I do have a few gripes which I'll address in just a moment. First, it's time to go and explore in the Explorer. And today we are in Slovenia, a small country just east of Italy. And quite nice it is too.
Okay, here we are in the Ford Explorer. Now, it's been about a year since we saw the prototype, so it's been a long time coming, but I have to say, first impressions are really very good. The first thing I notice is driving position. I mean, you sit really high, so visibility is very good, and you can really see all the way around the car really easily. The seats are really comfortable. They're very adjustable, so you can tailor them to suit your needs. And there's a massage function, which is always a big win. It's nice, it's fun, it's agile and very responsive. Feels like a nippy car. And of course, it's very quiet. Wind noise, minimal, and I really barely notice any tyre noise. It all feels a lot posher than the Ford Focus. I mean, it's an electric car, so they do tend to feel a bit posher and a bit smoother.
The Ford Explorer comes in a few versions. There's an entry-level rear-wheel drive car with a 52 kWh battery, which goes 239 miles, or you can go for the extended range rear-wheel drive car with a 77 kWh battery pack and 374 miles of range. Or there's also the top model with four-wheel drive and a 79 kWh battery, which goes 329 miles. Lots of choice, which means there should be something for almost everyone.
In terms of performance, it's pretty decent. I'm in the top model, the Explorer Premium, so it has 340 horsepower and a 0 to 62 time of 5.3 seconds. I mean, it's not the fastest electric car by any stretch, but it's more than adequate for a family wagon.
The entry-level car is a lot slower. It will only have 168 horsepower, which is good for 0 to 62 in a rather lethargic 9 seconds. Embarrassing, really. Even a Nissan Leaf is faster than that. But you get 286 PS in the extended range, which is enough for 0 to 62 in 6.4 seconds. Much more like it.
And then in terms of deceleration, you have two options. So you have normal braking, or you have B mode. And in B mode, you essentially use the same pedal for both acceleration and deceleration. So if that appeals to you, then it actually works very well.
The steering has a nice weight to it, light but still accurate, so it goes where you point it without any fuss. The suspension is soft enough with a fairly smooth ride, at least on these buttery smooth roads in Slovenia, and, dare I say it, it's also quite fun. Not quite as fun as a Ford Focus in terms of handling, but you can have a laugh in it, probably more so than the ID4. But we do have a few negatives to discuss.
On the subject of things that I don't like, here are the things I don't like in here. There are no physical buttons. That is a bugbear of mine because you rely heavily on the screen, which is not that user-friendly. I'm sure you get used to it, but so far it's not been ideal for me. The only capacitive buttons that there are the 3D cameras, and there's a volume slider, but you have to push it quite hard to make it work. Positively, the climate control buttons are always at the bottom of the screen, but still, it's not ideal. Now, I told you earlier that this car was made in partnership with Volkswagen, and there are all sorts of VW bits around the cabin. These light controls are directly lifted from the ID range, as is the gear selector. And then the window controls are something that I'm not sure I like. So normally you'd have 4 controls, right? For the front and the rear. But in here you only have 2. Then you have a rear button that you have to push if you want to do anything with the rear windows. I find that quite irritating and seems a bit cheap to me.
And then there's the price. The entry-level Standard Range Select is just under £40,000, which isn't too bad for a vehicle that offers around 240 miles. The single-motor Extended Range commands £46,000, offers 374 miles, and can be offered in premium trim, which adds an extra £4,100 to the price, but includes 20-inch wheels instead of 19, matrix LED lights, the big sunroof, and more. The range is good and the spec is good, but it's all a long way away from the days of the Ford Focus, isn't it? Back in my day, those sold for less than half the price. But I guess times have changed.
I just want to touch on range again because it is so good. You get 240 miles of range in the entry-level version, but if you want to go further, then in the extended range model, you get 375 miles of range. That would give you about 6 hours of non-stop driving at about 60 miles an hour. I mean, that's better than the Tesla Model Y, which is a huge tick and gives you loads of confidence. But Tesla do, of course, have their supercharger network.
Those range figures are all hypothetical, of course, and depend on you driving frugally. If you have a heavy right foot, like me, you can expect efficiency to drop quite significantly. At times, I saw around 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour, and with the 77 kilowatt hour battery pack on board, that works out to be an expected range of around 170 miles. Your mileage will vary.
And then there's the recharging, which is very good. The extended range model can charge at up to 185 kilowatts. Ford says that's good for a 10 to 80% charge in just 26 minutes.
That's not bad. It's better than the Model Y, which recharges at 170 kilowatts. Basic versions of the Explorer don't charge as quickly though, taking around 30 minutes to get to 80%. It's also worth noting that Teslas will have the advantage of the excellent supercharger network, which is usually more reliable than the random assortment of public chargers you'd need to subject yourself to if you don't buy a Tesla.
There we have it, the new Ford Explorer. I really like it. It's good looking, good value car with reliably good range, but it's also nippy enough to not be a boring family car. And in my opinion, it's got a little bit more character than the Tesla Model Y.
As for whether it's an improvement on Focuses and Escorts and Mondeos that have come before it, with rose-tinted glasses, no. And I wouldn't dare say it's as fun to drive as the Ford saloons of old. But the reality is that this is a much nicer car to sit in, has much better technology, and is much more likely to help Ford compete against their rivals. All in all, it's well worth a look.